he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
Well, I just wanted to be a good example, and it was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. I just want to protect her, I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish.
What if everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's most powerful circles was only the surface of something far more controlled, far more hidden, and far more disturbing than anyone is willing to admit publicly? Because right now, a storm is building around names that once seemed untouchable. Justin Bieber, Ellen DeGeneres, Sean Combs, and unexpectedly, one man who has never been afraid to speak his mind, 50 Cent. Over the past few years, resurfaced interviews, controversial statements, and newly discussed documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein have reignited questions that Hollywood never fully answered. Questions about influence, access, and what really happens behind closed doors where cameras are not supposed to exist. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Some online discussions and industry insiders have started connecting dots between early career moments in Justin Bieber's life and powerful figures who helped shape his rise. Moments that, at the time, looked like mentorship.
Yeah, you pressing Bieber.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? Like, I'm calling you and answering.
Yeah, that was low.
That was weird.
That was crazy.
That was weird.
They did not run through Bieber.
Still was pressing him like why you not answering your phone? Like, yo.
He wasn't answering for a reason.
Because you did things too.
Opportunities. Even jokes on daytime television. But today, those same clips are being re-examined under a completely different lens. And then there's 50 Cent, dropping cryptic warnings over the years about power dynamics in the industry, hinting that not every story being told is complete. Not every narrative is honest. So the question is no longer whether something happened. The question people are now asking is, what exactly are we not being told, and why has nobody clearly addressed it until now?
Yes. She's gorgeous, stunning, amazing. When he commented, like, I love you so much, which is like, it's just, I don't know. And then he's following he's followed a foreign model the other day, and she posted all about it. He followed her on everything. It's just like, what are you doing, bro? I get a lot of these celebrities are shitty people behind doors, but he's like doing it publicly.
If you even think of a woman with lust, it's the same thing as actually doing it, committing adultery or whatever. It's like, if it even just crosses your mind for one.
To understand why this story is suddenly gaining attention again, you have to go back to the beginning of Justin Bieber's rise. A teenager from Canada discovered online, quickly placed into a system that moves faster than most people can comprehend. At just 13 years old, Bieber wasn't just entering the music industry. He was entering a world built on connections, influence, and access. His introduction to major figures came rapidly, including mentorship from established artists and appearances on platforms that could instantly shape public perception. One of the most notable early platforms was daytime television, where his appearances alongside Ellen DeGeneres helped solidify his image as America's favorite young star. At the time, these appearances felt harmless, even supportive. But years later, viewers have begun revisiting those moments, asking whether they represented something more complex beneath the surface. Adding to this narrative are long-circulating clips involving Sean Combs, where discussions about time spent together and private access raised eyebrows only in hindsight. Back then, these interactions were brushed off as industry humor or exaggerated personality. Today, however, they are being reanalyzed in a climate far more aware of how power operates behind the scenes. Meanwhile, 50 Cent has repeatedly suggested that influence in Hollywood is not always what it appears to be.
We dove deep into the relationship between Ellen DeGeneres and P. Diddy, doing some character analysis.
She was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Her relationship with P. Diddy.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later. Because, once you get there, the party really starts.
And even how her set was designed to look like Epstein Island. I break down every single element of this in the full video.
Without directly confirming specific allegations, he has emphasized that power structures can protect certain behaviors while silencing others. This perspective has fueled online speculation, especially as audiences connect his statements to resurfaced footage and broader conversations about accountability in entertainment spaces.
Like, Justin's not his exuberant. He'll never be his exuberant self ever again. like he's lost his like charisma. I was like, what? I just played basketball last night. I'm just tired. Like, and we're talking about emotional things.
The Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And then we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
As conversations intensified, another layer began to emerge involving the broader network of elite connections often discussed in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. While no verified evidence directly places many celebrities in wrongdoing within those environments, the release of documents and ongoing investigations have led to widespread scrutiny of anyone connected through proximity, social circles, or shared events. In this context, Ellen DeGeneres' name began appearing in online discussions, not as a confirmed participant in any illegal activity, but as someone whose relationships within Hollywood's elite are now being questioned more critically than ever before. Her long-running talk show positioned her as one of the most influential gatekeepers in entertainment, capable of introducing rising stars to powerful figures. This influence, once celebrated, is now being re-evaluated under a more skeptical public lens. At the same time, 50 Cent's commentary about power imbalance has resurfaced, particularly his statements suggesting that predatory behavior is not limited by gender. He argued that the industry often highlights male offenders while ignoring or minimizing similar behavior when it involves women in positions of authority. These remarks, while controversial, have added fuel to ongoing debates, especially when audiences attempt to connect them to specific individuals without concrete proof. The result is a complicated narrative where facts, speculation, and interpretation are blending together in real time. Social media has accelerated this process, turning isolated clips and comments into viral talking points. But the critical question remains unchanged. Are these connections meaningful indicators of deeper issues, or are they being overanalyzed in a climate that is increasingly suspicious of power?
People are on to Ellen DeGeneres, guys. They are on to her. We've been discussing her for a while. Her whole relationship doesn't make any sense. The fact that she moved to the UK, then she left the UK and is back in America, you know, wants to play these political games, also doesn't make any sense. Didn't really have a career in the UK, that also doesn't make any sense. And now, since the Epstein files have been dropped, everybody is trying to make links, looking at the emails, interactions, relationships, everything when it comes to whoever's name dropped or not.
One of the most discussed aspects of this entire situation is how differently certain behaviors are perceived depending on who is involved. In Hollywood, power has always played a central role in shaping narratives, determining whose voices are amplified and whose stories remain buried. For decades, conversations about exploitation focused almost exclusively on male figures, leaving a significant gap in how audiences understand influence when it operates differently. This is exactly the point 50 Cent has attempted to highlight in multiple interviews and social media posts. Without naming specific incidents, he suggested that authority can be misused by anyone regardless of gender, and that public perception often prevents certain discussions from gaining traction. These comments have led many to revisit past interactions involving high-profile figures, including Ellen DeGeneres, whose public image was built on kindness and relatability. However, even before these recent discussions, her show faced criticism related to workplace culture, with former employees alleging a toxic environment behind the scenes. While those claims are separate from the current speculation, they have contributed to a broader reevaluation of her public persona.
Ellen DeGeneres feeling the heat as more employees, past and present, from her show say that they were working in a toxic environment. Some Hollywood actors also speaking out against the talk show host now. Let's bring in Carly Shimkus of Fox News Headlines 24/7. Carly, good morning. Great to see you. So what more are we hearing on this story?
Yeah, so things are really spiraling here, and it's sort of two situations unfolding at once. One of them has to do with a mountain of complaints against the show's executive producers. Some 47 past and current employees have complained to BuzzFeed News. Allegations ranging from a toxic work environment, bullying.
When combined with resurfaced clips, industry connections, and the ongoing fascination with Epstein's network, the narrative becomes increasingly complex. It's no longer about one individual or one event. It's about understanding how systems of influence operate, how access is granted, and how certain environments remain shielded from scrutiny for years. And perhaps most importantly, why these conversations tend to surface only after patterns begin to feel impossible to ignore.
So you worked for Ellen as well? Yeah, I did the first 2 years on that show.
And she
was rough. She was the C word. Yeah.
She was not nice to you.
Well, it's funny because when it started, first of all, I wanted to write for her because I really do think she's like one of the great comics of all. New Orleans girl.
That's right. She never claims it, but yeah.
Yeah, but
another critical element driving this renewed attention is Justin Bieber's own public behavior and statements over the years. While he has never directly confirmed many of the claims circulating online, he has openly discussed the challenges of growing up in the spotlight and the pressure that comes with early fame. In multiple interviews, Bieber has referenced feeling overwhelmed, misunderstood, and at times taken advantage of, though he has not consistently provided specific details about those experiences. For some viewers, these statements are simply reflections of the intense scrutiny that comes with global fame at a young age. For others, they are seen as subtle indications of deeper issues that were never fully addressed publicly. Adding to this perception are moments where Bieber has expressed a desire to protect younger artists entering the industry, suggesting an awareness of risks that he may have personally encountered. These comments, while not direct accusations, have been interpreted by audiences in various ways, especially when placed alongside resurfaced footage involving influential figures from his early career. Meanwhile, discussions surrounding Diddy's past interactions with Bieber have continued to circulate, with critics pointing to old clips as examples of behavior that would likely be viewed differently today. However, it is important to emphasize that interpretation does not equal confirmation. The entertainment industry is filled with moments that, when removed from their original context, can appear far more suspicious than they were initially perceived. This makes it essential to separate documented facts from assumptions, even as public curiosity continues to grow at an unprecedented rate.
Now even sexual harassment. So Warner Media is investigating that, and that investigation will likely lead to people losing their jobs. The other allegation has to do with Ellen herself and allegations that she's not the happy-go-lucky nice person that her show would.
At the center of all this speculation lies a deeper issue that extends far beyond any single celebrity. It is the question of how power functions within closed networks, and how easily narratives can be shaped by those who control access to platforms, opportunities, and public perception. The Epstein case, regardless of who is directly involved, exposed the existence of environments where influence operated without transparency for years. That revelation alone has permanently changed how audiences interpret connections between powerful individuals. Now, every resurfaced clip, every old interview, and every unexpected association is viewed through a lens of suspicion. This shift has created a culture where audiences actively investigate patterns, sometimes drawing conclusions that go beyond verified information. In this environment, figures like Ellen DeGeneres and Sean Combs become focal points, not necessarily because of proven wrongdoing, but because of their proximity to conversations about influence and access. At the same time, voices like 50 Cent amplify these discussions by challenging traditional narratives and encouraging people to question what they see. The result is a feedback loop where speculation fuels attention, and attention fuels further speculation. While this can lead to important conversations about accountability, it also carries the risk of misinterpretation. Not every connection implies involvement, and not every unanswered question has a hidden answer. However, the growing demand for transparency suggests that audiences are no longer satisfied with surface-level explanations. They want clarity, accountability, and above all, honesty from an industry that has long operated behind carefully constructed images.
She was a great comic.
Her old stuff is unreal.
Yeah.
I had all her albums.
So then the show comes out, and I get approached by the head writer, and it turns out I'm good friends with the showrunner, and so I write.
What makes this situation even more compelling is the timing of everything unfolding at once. Renewed discussions about Epstein's network, increased scrutiny of past celebrity behavior, and a digital audience more investigative than ever before. Social media platforms have become modern-day courtrooms where clips, statements, and theories are presented, debated, and amplified within hours. In this space, perception can shift rapidly, sometimes faster than facts can be verified. For celebrities like Justin Bieber, Ellen DeGeneres, and Sean Combs, this means that past moments are no longer confined to their original context. They are constantly being reinterpreted by new audiences with different expectations and awareness. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's role in this narrative continues to attract attention because of his reputation for speaking openly, even when his statements are controversial. His comments have not provided definitive answers, but they have encouraged people to keep asking questions. And perhaps that is the most significant outcome of this entire situation. Not confirmation but curiosity. Not conclusions but conversations. The entertainment industry has always relied on carefully managed images, but in today's environment, those images are being challenged more aggressively than ever before. Whether these discussions lead to concrete revelations or fade into speculation remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The audience is watching more closely now, and they are far less willing to accept silence as an answer.
And there are content of Ellen throwbacks going viral, but especially her interview production set. Hey guys, it's Murad Murali, daily and consistent content. Now let's get into this video.
So where does that leave this story right now? Somewhere between unanswered questions and a growing demand for clarity. Because despite all the clips, all the statements, and all the speculation, there is still no single narrative that fully explains everything people think they are seeing. And that uncertainty is exactly what keeps this conversation alive. On one side, there are those who believe these connections point to deeper truths that have yet to be revealed. On the other, there are those who argue that the internet has created a culture of overanalysis, where coincidence is mistaken for evidence and speculation is treated as fact. The truth likely exists somewhere in between, shaped by information that is still incomplete. What remains undeniable, however, is the impact this situation has had on public perception. Figures once viewed through a single lens are now being seen from multiple angles, each raising new questions about influence, responsibility, and accountability. And as long as those questions remain unanswered, the discussion will continue to grow. Because in today's world, silence does not end a story. It amplifies it. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think these connections mean something deeper, or is this all being taken out of context? Let's talk about it.